Not only do I have a Karen story for you today, not only do I have a saga story with multiple updates, but I also have a crazy neighbor. And guess what? They're all in the same story. Okay, so let's begin the story like this. I'm a 31-year-old female. I live in a block of 6 units. It's apartments for non-Australians. A month ago, the unit above mine went up for sale and sold fairly quickly, and the new owner moved in less than a week ago. This morning, I got up, went to take a rubbish out, and found a note stuck to my door. I honestly thought it was a "I'm new to the building" kind of note, you know? Oh, I could not have been more wrong. It said this: "Dear tenant, I've recently purchased your building and wish to introduce myself. My name is blah blah blah," not going to put her actual name, "and I think you'll find me a fair landlord. However, I have some rules. Number 1, everyone's to be in their units by 9 p.m. If you're going to be out past that, I suggest you find accommodation elsewhere. Number 2, no pets allowed. If you have any, they must be relocated before I do an inspection, or I'll call the ranger to remove them. This is the only warning. Number 3, I'll conduct an inspection once a month, and you'll be present to answer any questions or face eviction. Number 4, and final one, failure to pay rent on time will result in eviction, no question asked." Well, if we all follow these rules, I'm sure we'll get along. Sincerely, blah blah blah. Guys, what the F did I just read? Fun fact about my building, we all own our units. Nobody actually owns the whole building. I won't lie, I got to the number 2 and had a slight panic attack because I have cats. There's no way I was giving them up. Before I remembered, we bought our unit just before Christmas. Previously, we rented it from a prior friend, and when she told me she was thinking about selling it, we bought it. Didn't even have to move. So in some ways, it still feels like renting, but we do actually own the unit. Now, I'm not great at confronting someone. I tend to shake a lot, but at the moment I was quite angry. So I went upstairs and knocked on their door. You know that gut feeling you have? Well, it was spot on. The door opened and there stood a Karen. Her hair blonder than my own, her nails long and bright-colored. She didn't look happy to see me there. I introduced myself and explained that I lived downstairs and that I wanted to talk to her about her note. She started to talk over top of me, explaining that her letter was basic rules and even a child could understand it, and if I could not like her rules, I could just hand in a letter to vacate. Wow. I would ask if people are really this up themselves, but I work in retail and I could answer my own darn questions. Well, I told her that I actually owned my unit. She hadn't bought it or the rest of the building, but only her own unit, and that she could not enforce anything. She didn't like that response at all. She starts yelling at me, saying that yes, she had indeed bought the whole building and that failure to comply with her rules would mean I would be evicted. I was just starting to think maybe I was wrong when another neighbor opened his door. He came out and asked what the issue was about and could you just stop screaming, as he worked nights and was trying to sleep. I told him I was trying to explain that she had not bought the building, and she starts yelling again. My neighbor told her to stop, and then said the best thing I had to hear all day. "Are you stupid?" Her jaw dropped as he explained to her wrong she was, and that he was in fact part of the Strata Committee. It's kind of like an HOA that oversees the buildings. And that she had no right to make rules for anyone. She barely can even make sense to make rules for herself. She gave us a dirty look before slamming the door. I thanked him, and he said in the entire time he's lived there, he had not seen someone so entitled. What's up, guys? Mr. Reddito here. So with this story, I've linked together all the posts that the original poster made. Basically, it's just different encounters with this insane Karen neighbor. The next post OP did was exactly 3 days after the original post. So guys, let's see exactly what this Karen is up to now. So, I guess this is like an update or something for my last post. I had a lot of people ask me to post and see if she's done anything else. This is also currently happening and my significant other's witnessing it and texting me as I work. So, if you listened to my last post, I had a new neighbor move into my building. She left notes on everyone's doors saying she bought the building and gave us insane rules to follow. She's been quiet for the last few days, and I thought maybe that's it. Apparently I was wrong. So each unit in our building's allocated one parking spot. I'll repeat myself. One parking spot. I park in mine, and my significant other parks his car on the street on the other side of the building. Our parking lot had one visitor space. It's a very small parking lot, 6 spots for residents and 1 for visitor. The visitor spots is nearly always empty, and my neighbors have said my significant other could park his car there if he wanted to, as we were only units with 2 cars. But he doesn't mind parking where he is. This morning, my significant other woke up to yelling. Our kitchen windows overlooked in the parking lot, and he snuck a peek out the window and saw entitled neighbor standing next to our nice neighbor's car, and they were arguing loudly. She kept yelling that she had a second car and he needs to park in his spot, and he had to move his car or else she'll get it towed. He kept repeating that it was his parking spot and she could either park in the visitor spot or on the street, and if she towed his car, he would report it stolen. Significant others said she just kept yelling she can park wherever she wants and he needs to move it or else. So my boyfriend decided to park his car in my empty spot, in case she tried to park there while I'm at work. Last message he sent me is she stormed upstairs in a huff and slammed her door. Small update before the next post. I got home from work and she has parked her second car in the visitor spot, but she's parked it so badly it's blocking the driveway in. Right now I'm parked on the street, but too tired to deal with her. Sorry I didn't tell you sooner, so like I said before, her car was basically blocking the driveway, and I had to park on the street. Anyways, when I got up for work the next day, it was still there, but when I came home, it was gone. I asked my significant other as he was at home, and apparently a tow truck came and took it away. So, yeah. I'm still not sure which neighbor called the tow truck, but I have a suspicion it's the one she's been arguing with. Significant other said she's been quiet all day, and only the odd footsteps here and there. Post number 3, exactly 3 days after post 2. Well, I'm back, as many of you predicted. Her entitlement grew. In case anyone missed the update on my last post, her car was towed, but I don't know which neighbor did it. This made her angry, but seeing as if I was at work, she hasn't blamed me or my significant other. It's been raining all week, as I don't have a dryer. I haven't been able to do any big items like sheets or towels. Only clothing, as I can hang them up inside. On Saturday, it was finally sunny, and I raced home from work, dragged my boyfriend out of bed so I could wash all the blankets and dry them in case it rained again. I managed to get through 5 loads of sheets, blankets, towels, and I hung them all out on the line outside. We all share it. There's technically 2 different lines for us to use, and we've never had any issues before. Well, I hung out, and my last load went into inside and chill. I went back out, and about an hour later to get the first load off, and found every single item I hung on the ground. Nothing had replaced it at all, it just had been torn down, and my pegs and baskets were gone. Most of what I've hung out there was still wet and now covered in dirt. I got my boyfriend, and he helped me bring everything inside before I went back upstairs and knocked on her door. When she answered, I asked if she's taken my washing off the line, and she smugly informed me that she had not given my permission to use her line, and the next time I should be polite and ask if she might let me. Look, I'm going to level it with you guys. I work in retail. I deal with nightmare customers. I know how to be calm around these kind of people, and well, I tried to be polite about this whole thing with the letter and the car, but my bed is my safe place. I wanted it clean, and now she's ducked that up just to be petty. I calmly told her that everyone can use that line, it's part of the building, and nobody has to ask her permission. She tried to talk it over, but I just held my hand up, told her I was part of the strata committee. I know all the rules and who owns what, and she needs to pull her head out of her butt, grow up, and stop her behavior because it's not doing her any favors. I told her to have a nice day before she slammed her door. Post number 4, exactly 5 days later. This just happened last night, and I'm still a bit tired, so I'm sorry guys for the spelling mistakes. Our neighbor had been quiet for a while, and my boyfriend and I thought maybe she finally realized she could not control the whole building. One of her cars were parked in her spot, and the other was parked on the street behind my boyfriend's car. Nobody's washing had been ripped off the line, no new notes were stuck to the door. Until yesterday, as we were at the bottom unit apartment, we have a side door that opens out onto the shared yard. I think the only time I use that door is to air the place out or to shortcut to hang washing out. Sorry, anyways, yesterday we were going about our day when we saw Entitled neighbor and a few other people setting up tables and chairs in the yard. No big deal, it's a shared space. A few minutes later, there's a knock on the side door, and it's her. Significant other opened the door. It's a glass sliding door, so she could see us. We couldn't pretend we weren't there. And did the usual greetings. She told us she was having a party, and we needed to move our wooden planters off our patio because she needs the space for her barbecue. Ugh, no. Firstly, the patio is our space, not a shared space, and secondly, they sit right next to the glass door, so I don't want some random looking into my living room all night while they're cooking. Significant other reminded her she does not own the building and we would not be moving nothing. When one of her friends asked what the heck she was doing, they'd already set up the barbecue in the yard. She huffed and walked off without saying anything to us, and we thought it was over. Well, it wasn't. A few hours go by, and we ended up closing the curtains for privacy. Whoever designed the building did not really keep privacy in mind. We wanted details, but anyways, we can hear talking, laughing, and cooking, the usual sounds of a backyard barbecue, when there's another knock on the door. I was cooking our own dinner, so my significant other answered it again. This time, it was one of her friends saying she had to use the bathroom, and Entitled neighbor told her to just knock on our door instead of walking upstairs. Significant other politely told her sorry, but she could not use ours, and she apologized for knocking and intruding. Not even 2 minutes later, there's banging on the door, and by now my significant other is livid. He opened the door, and Entitled neighbor starts to lay into him, and how dare he expects her guest to go all the way upstairs, and that he needs to apologize to her and keep the doors open for her guest. Now, my significant other's usually a calm dude. Well, very easy to talk to, rational, but in moments like this, he lost it. Absolutely lost his crap. He told her to duck off and stop bothering us, to get her head out of her behind, and she can't lay claim to every single thing she sees. Our bathroom wasn't hers to use. Her guest could use her bathroom, and if she knocked on our door one more time, he's going to call the police for harassment. At this point, one of her friends come over and told Entitled neighbor she needs to leave us alone and stop bugging us before apologizing and telling us to have a good night. We expected the party to be loud and go on all night, but it actually wrapped up pretty early, around 1 a.m. This morning when I got up, everything had been cleaned up from the yard, but our planters had been knocked over. Joke's on her, because we hadn't planted anything in them yet, and most of the soil in there was cat litter. I use potting mix as cat litter because it's cheaper. So now she can smell my cat's old turds. What's up, guys? Mr. Reddito. So, post number 5's coming up, but things cooled off for about a month. There wasn't much drama going on until this happens. Guys, if you're not subscribed to the channel, just take a second right now to go click that subscribe button. You can also find the Instagram link directly below in the description. On there, you can find behind the scenes, 60-second animated stories, and much more. Here comes post number 5. Let's get into it. Well, I'm back. I thought maybe my neighbor had settled down and I was done with her behavior. I do hear her fighting with the upstairs neighbor now and then, but that's about it. Well, this happened this afternoon, and I'm still trying to figure out how her brain works. So in my previous post, I explained how my new neighbor thinks she owns the building our apartment's in. Newsflash, she doesn't. And implemented some crazy rules, none of which were legal. It took a few arguments, but I thought she finally understood she did not own everything. Boy, I was wrong. So, as I'm on the ground floor, I have this glass sliding door that opens out in the shared yard. Not happy about it, but hey, this is mainly a treat, since it's like a window. Being that it was a nice cool day, I had the door open but the screen door shut and locked so I could get air in the house after having rained and the house smelling musty. Whenever the door is open, my cats will sit at it and watch the birds outside. I was pretty tired and my significant other suggested we both lay down and have a little nap while I wait for the washing machine to finish. Thought sure, why not? It's quiet today, and we went and laid down. We were woken up about an hour later to a rattling noise in the lounge area. I thought maybe one of the cats tried to climb out the screen door. Again, so I got up to scold them and found my entitled Karen neighbor trying to open my screen door. Like really pulling on top of it to the point the whole door's shaking. I asked her what she's doing and she told me she'd seen my cats through the door while we were on her to hang clothes and wanted to pet them but the door's stuck. I told her it's not stuck, it's locked, because this is a private residence and she can't just waltz in here whenever she pleases. She kept trying to open the door while yelling that I can't keep my cats from people if they want to pet them, and it's her right to show them some real love. I repeated that this was my house and she could not walk in whenever she wanted. This really seems to make her mad, so she starts to yell at me that I was an entitled jerk. And I was abusing my animals, and how dare I speak to her like that? At this point, I was pretty sick of being yelled at in my own freaking home, so I just mustered up the sweetest smile I could before politely telling her to duck off. If looks could kill, my cats would be eating my body right now. She tried to open the door again when my significant other comes out and said he's calling the police if she doesn't buzz off. Well, she finally let go of the door and glared at us and stormed off. Needless to say, we're ordering another camera for the door, and yes, my cats are microchipped. Update number 6, 1 month later. So, guys, if you're new to this story, here's a brief recap. My entitled neighbor bought the unit above us and thought she bought the whole building. Well, obviously she hadn't, and tried to implement some insane rules. She also tried to park in other people's assigned parking spots and threatened to have our cars towed. Well, and she also told me I was abusing my cats because I wouldn't let her pet them, and screamed at me because I would not let her friend use my bathroom. Anyways, it's been quiet for a few weeks. I normally hear her arguing with another neighbor all the time, but lately nothing. Last week I bought a new car, yay. And it's slightly bigger than my old car, so I'm not confident enough to park it in my spot, so I've been parking on the street. The other day, I got home from work and I saw a young man standing on her balcony. He was quite friendly, called out hello to me and introduced himself as her nephew, and explained why he was there. She broke her foot? Apparently, at the last family dinner, she tripped over a dog and broke her foot, and is now staying with family because she can't get up and down the stairs. He said he was house-sitting because she said she did not trust her neighbors, but he admitted we're all really nice and quiet and maybe she's just crazy. It took all my strength not to sing and dance right then and there. Post number 7, 15 days later. Well, she's back. Was hoping she just wouldn't come back after she broke that foot, but last week we heard a door slam from upstairs. We looked outside and yup, her car's there. No idea if her nephew who was house-sitting still there or not. Anyways, a few days ago I tested positive for the much-whispered pathogen, and have been doing the right thing and staying inside, and well, just keeping quiet. My partner was away all day Saturday because he was picking up his new car, and he got home late Saturday evening. Parked his new car on the back lawn so he could give it a quick hose down from the drive. I was inside watching through the sliding door when I heard her balcony door open, and she starts letting him have it. "Get off my lawn!" He told her to shove it. It's not her lawn, and he's done when he's done. And can she please stop yelling? Because I'm sick, and it doesn't help my migraines. Well, that was a mistake. I heard her storming down the stairs, and she starts banging on our door, screaming that I'm diseased, and I need to isolate somewhere else before she gets sick. And if I don't leave, she's going to call the police. I told her through the door that she's been told repeatedly that she can't kick us out of her own place that we own. I'm staying inside, and she could call the police all she wants, but she would be more than likely fined for wasting their time on false threats. According to my significant other, who was coming in after moving his car, she looked right down murderous, but once she saw him, she took off upstairs like a banshee. Haven't heard anything from her since or anything from the police, so we think it was an empty threat. I was tempted to open the door because, like they say, sharing is caring. ETA before the next post. Just wanted to add because I had a few comments on it. We can't get her evicted from it. She owns it like a house. Also, lawyers in Australia are very expensive just to talk to. Like, when we brought our unit, the lawyers handling the sale charged us everything. They stuffed up the paperwork by misspelling my name and then charged us more to reissue the papers. As far as I know, my upstairs neighbor spoke to his lawyer about her, but they can't do much anyways. Post number 8. Final update. 1 month later. I'm back. Did you miss me? I won't lie, I was hoping I would never have to post again and she would become a normal neighbor, but I was wrong. So she was so quiet for so long and her car was barely there, so I started to think that maybe she moved out. But I got a nice reminder last week she's still around. To start this story, I must give a little bit of background. There's 8 units in total in this building and I'm on the ground floor. And the very nice old lady across the hallway, I have an unspoken rule that if one of us is home and the other isn't, we sign for and accept packages so they just aren't left in the hallway. I'd been expecting a package and I had a feeling it was going to show up while I was at work, but I wasn't worried because of my nice old neighbor. She would drop it off when I got home. No drama. Right? Wrong. My nice old neighbor had actually gone away for a few days, so with nobody around, my package was left to my front door. But it wasn't there when I got home. Oh yes. Yes, dear readers and listeners amongst. She had it. About 10 minutes after I got home, I heard the unfamiliar stomping. Yeah, just kidding, it's very familiar. Stomping on the stairs at the beginning of my door. Long story short, my package had been delivered and she wanted to do the nice thing and hold on to it until I got home. But apparently it had accidentally ripped. And she saw what was inside. I won't lie, it was sex toys. I like to treat myself, sue me. The moment I opened the door, she threw my packages at me, yelling how I was a disgusting pervert, and I should move out before it spreads. I told her that opening someone else's package is a federal crime. It's not a crime to buy those kind of things, but thanks for taking care of my package. Well guys, Mr. Reddito here. That's all the post that was made by that original poster. If there's any more updates that come out about this crazy old neighbor, you guys will be the first to hear about it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because that's not something you're gonna want to miss. The last post was exactly 2 months ago, so now we're just playing the waiting game. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys, and let's check out the opinion and comment side of the story. So, another long saga locked in the books, and this one might be one of our craziest neighbor stories that we've talked about on the channel. I know we went over a story one time about a neighbor whose kids kept breaking into the backyard and trying to use the pool. I mean, you can think how much of a liability that could be, and dangerous. But I have to say, this neighbor takes the cake. She's a Karen, she's very entitled, and she's an evil neighbor. So man, the trifecta hits. Ba-dum-boom-ch. Let me know what you guys think about this story. Drop your thoughts down below. The comment section was blowing up. Absolutely everybody wanted to share their stories of their crazy neighbor they've had. So guys, please do me one huge favor. If you've had a neighbor in your past, or maybe present, tell me a story about what was the worst day that you encountered with them. I would love to hear that from you guys, and just want to thank you again for joining me on today. If you want to see more stories from Mr. Reddito, you can find my links directly below, including my Instagram, which does have daily stories, updated green screens, 60-second reels, you name it, it's coming out. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.